Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with Martin for your Lions Raw match reaction show, plus a little bit of Crystal Palace preview thrown in as well. Props as well to Nick for a wonderful, wonderful intro. Hope you've seen that updated intro. Fantastic, fantastic stuff there. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Help us on the road to 5,000 subscribers. We're actually edging ever closer to 4,800. I know I've got 4,600 on there, but we're edging close to 4,800. So look, let's get us there. Let's get to 5K and beyond. Keep your likes in, keep your comments in, and make sure you hit the subscribe button. Martin, how are you doing, mate?
I'm doing good, Rich. It's a bank holiday here in Ireland. Obviously, it's safe to say I was out last night. Thanks, Jacob. It's Shamrock Rovers. So it's safe to say I enjoyed my night last night. I was hanging a little bit this morning, but I'm all good now. Well recovered. The hangover's down a little bit longer as you get older, unfortunately.
Yes. Well, tell me about it, mate. Tell me about it. I went out on Friday night and I was still suffering on Sunday. So, mate, it doesn't get any easier the older you get. I tell you that now. Before we get into the game, we have breaking news, and right at the top of the show, Jacob said the world's number one, and when we say the world's number one, we mean this guy here, Emiliano Martinez, 2024 Yashin Trophy winner, best in the world ×2, as you've labelled this picture, Martin. How lucky are we to have this goalkeeper?
Oh my God, where do we begin? £12 million from Arsenal. It sounds like a bargain to this day. Like, we absolutely fleeced Arsenal for, at the time, their number 2 goalkeeper. And now look what he's gone and do. He brought Aston Villa to the Champions League. He's won the Copa America twice. He's won the World Cup. And now he's a 2-time Yashin Trophy winner. And he's the first goalkeeper to do it back-to-back ever since it's been introduced. So to say now that we have the best goalkeeper in the world for the last 2 years, no one can argue it. Like, I even put up a tweet there earlier saying, don't compare this to any goalkeeper in the world. Never even mind the Premier League, just the world. He's a fantastic goalkeeper, and long may it continue.
Yeah, just brilliant. And he was a bit more sensible going up on the stage, collecting this trophy at least. So
yeah, he was a little bit more sensible. I was kind of hoping for a bit of shit carnage again, but it is what it is.
And then when you saw the clips of him, I don't know if you saw like the footage that they had where he's saving penalties and dancing and shushing the crowd. You know, he's just one of those goalkeepers that everyone would love to have him in their team, but you hate him when you're in the opposition, and that's why we love him so much.
Oh, big time! Like, if we were to play against him, we'd be sitting there just going, "Oh yeah, I cannot stand this man. He's a pain in the ass." That's what you'd be saying. And I'm literally there gloating now to all my mates that he's won it again, he's won it again, he's won it again, and they're all just rolling up their eyes. I don't care. You're only jealous. We've got the best goalkeeper in the world. Like, who's going to compete with him now? He's won this competition twice.
Exactly. Gaz said he's not as good as Neil Etheridge, though. Taking us back to the days when we nearly signed him from Birmingham City.
Oh, wow.
Rachel said back-to-back Yashin Award winner. Rachel said he's rattled the whole country. Michael says we must take a breath, stop and think. Aston Villa has the best goalkeeper in the world. Sai said he gets booed as he enters every venue. Exactly. Arsenal meltdown incoming, says Michael. And he's definitely different on the field to off the field. Definitely very mild-mannered, very much a family guy off the field. But when he's on the pitch, he really does want to win. And he's also a real man of his word as well, because I have no doubts whatsoever that the Real Madrids or the the Bayern Munichs or some huge clubs would have come in for him, particularly as we qualified for the Champions League, maybe even the season before, particularly winning World Cups. But he said he wanted to. He owed a debt of gratitude to Aston Villa, and he wanted to achieve stuff with Aston Villa, and he has taken us to there. He has been a huge part of why we've qualified for the Champions League and why we now sit fourth in the table and top of the Champions League group phase.
Absolutely. I mean, he's gone and said that I owe my life to Villa, basically, for what he's done, because otherwise he'd probably still be sitting number 2 on Arsenal's bench, or he could have been somewhere else for all we know. And Villa, in a way, I know a lot of people, fan bases that are outside of Aston Villa will say that, but he's getting his on based on performances for Argentina. No, because he's got us to the Europa Conference League with his performances. He's got us to the Champions League with these performances. We're sitting top of the Champions League with these performances, and he's not conceded a single goal in the Champions League yet. So, even, yes, you might say his performances for Argentina are slightly better due to the fact that he's won trophies with that national team at the minute. But that does not say he might not win a trophy with Aston Villa. And this is a great season to do it. And if he does win a trophy with Aston Villa, then he might be going for a third time in a row. You never know.
Exactly. Jacob said it's crazy to think he had the choice to come to Villa or join Emery at Villarreal. Picked us, and now what a nice full circle moment. Debu Double says Sai, and Debu the Dude says PJJ. And Jacob also says United were in for him and they opted to pursue Onana. A point Rachel makes is we do need to win a trophy for Emmy as well as McGinn and Tyrone. And at some point, Michael says he will leave, but what he has done for us is unbelievable. Yeah, of course, and that's the thing, and we will get onto the potential of a trophy a bit later in the show with regards to the Carabao Cup and how much that, if we win that game, do we then take that competition seriously? But yeah, I guess the next stage is a trophy, and yeah, as the full team, we kind of need to look at backing up this success with some silverware on the table.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what silverware it is. It's just something that once one comes, the rest follows. It's the old cliche with any great football team when they're trying to pursue trophies, is that once you win one, the rest will follow because you've got that experience now winning a trophy underneath your belt, and it'll keep going and going and going. Ultimately, the big one for us, I'm not saying we're in a title race, but if we win the Premier League, that would be the biggest thing for Villa to ever do, or potentially the Champions League as well, which I know it's mental, but it is what it is. And hopefully
Emery's a master.
Emery's the masterclass this, unlike some managers who got the sack today. But sure, look, all errors end at some point. Isn't that what he said? All errors end.
Exactly. Now, the league, we talk about us being in the title race, is definitely a marathon, as Michael would say. And you do have a bit of a marathon story before we get into the Bournemouth game, which maybe made us stutter a little bit in that quest for league glory. So do you want to tell us about your marathon story, or at least your friend's marathon story, that you wanted to call him out live on air?
Yeah. I was at the Dublin Marathon yesterday, and then after that, on the night out, I was speaking to Ethan, who's my friend. We do a running club together called Up and Out Fitness. And for everyone that ran it, congratulations. He's ran 42 kilometers, all in good time. So fair play to us. It was a great achievement. But with Ethan, he decided as a motivational factor to finish the marathon, he downloaded Tinder to try and get motivation off a load of random girls from wherever they may be from. And he didn't get one answer back. So maybe that was his motivation to try and keep running, that no one cared that he was running a marathon. But in fairness, when he finished it, and when he told me that story in the pub, I just couldn't stop laughing. I told him I'm putting it on here. And he just went, yeah, go for it. So even fair play to you. You finished the marathon, but you still got no answers from Tinder.
Fair play. Well, look, anyone who does a marathon deserves some respect. But yeah, maybe he didn't quite get the extra motivation that he wanted. But
No, I didn't quite
fair
get it.
play. God loves a trier. God loves a trier. Uh, into Saturday's game, and sometimes it's good, isn't it, to talk about a game, not necessarily straight after. Let the dust settle a little bit. Let the other results come through, and see where you are after that full weekend. Now, I guess you can look at it in one of two ways. You can say, look, we got a point. It was disappointing, but looking at the results, we're still in fourth position. We're now level on points with Arsenal, only two goal difference, and we're four. I think it's 4 points from Man City or something like that. Or you could look at it as, if we'd have held on and got that result, we'd be on 20 points now. We'd be in third position, 1 point behind. So, sorry, we'd be three points behind Arsenal, 3 points behind Man City, and 2 points behind Liverpool. It's which are you? Are you glass half full? Are you glass half empty? Is it a real missed opportunity, or is it we're still in touch, because there are going to be some ups and downs, there are going to be some twists and turns, and we're only 8 games in, or 9
Look, I'm a
games in,
glass.
should I say?
Yeah, look, I'm glass half full. Like, yes, obviously it's a missed opportunity with drawing 1-0 with Bournemouth, a team you realistically, as Villa's stature at this minute, should be beaten. But however, Bournemouth were off the back of a good win against Arsenal, and they were always going to have that confidence coming into this game, regardless whether it was Villa or whether they were away from home. But at the same time, the results in the weekend kind of went our way. We didn't lose touch in the top 4. We haven't lost touch of a potential title race. Well, I think it's a glass half full thing for me. Obviously now with these next 2 games coming up in the Premier League itself with Spurs and Liverpool, I could understand the emphasis of the fact that this could be a glass half empty, and the fact that you wanted to win this game to put yourself in a good position. But I still think we're in a good position, because Spurs are, as the old cliche goes, lads, it's Tottenham. So that could still be a good, hopefully a good win for us. But if it comes, but at the same time, I still have that nervy feeling always going into a game because they're so inconsistent. And then the Liverpool game for me is something that it's really going to have to put our test of character for that game. But in fairness, all in all, I'm glass half full. I think we're still in a good position, and I think the results in the weekend still went our way regardless of our results.
Yeah. Few comments. PJJ said we controlled the game for all but those last 10 minutes. We dropped 2 points. Rachel said 2 points dropped and a missed opportunity due to the games we have to come in November and December. Dristos says Saturday was the first time I was really upset since Emery came in. It's not for the result, it's for the players' reaction after we scored. Lost our way completely and gave away many silly fouls. Michael said, we'll come back to that. Michael said, glass half full. We're still running in the leading pack and looking in good form. Jacob said, it's not a missed opportunity at all. There's going to be games where you can't get the ball in, and their keeper was fantastic. Got a draw against Bournemouth last year and it did no damage. Fan base are reactionary. Michael getting a prediction in early. Aston Villa will beat Liverpool 2-1. Sai said, the first time in a long time he looked panicked the last 10 minutes going long instead of keeping the ball. It was weird. And yeah, Jacob said it was arguably the best performance of the season. And I said this I was on the Loaded Mag sort of tabletop talk with the boys on that channel. And I actually said, it was a really good performance for a good 70, 75 minutes. And we kept pushing. The substitutions made a difference. But then we dropped off in that last 10 minutes. And
yeah,
I think it's been a little bit of a sign of things that we've been like that. I mean, even the Fulham game when we won 3-1, that last 10 minutes when he made quite a few subs was a bit ragged. It was a bit disjointed. The Ipswich game where we were 2-1 up and we tried to hold it in there, a bit ragged again. Is this a little bit of a thing that Villa are going to have to get used to, this mentality? Because I understand why he's trying to do it, maybe make some changes, conserve some energy, to make sure that we've still got something to give towards the end of the season. But you've got to be really careful because, like you said, we were giving away a lot of fouls, and the more fouls you give away, the more dangerous positions you allow the opposition to get into, the more encouragement you give them, you're going to get punished. And that's ultimately what happened.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I felt when I was watching the game, I thought it was a very good performance, regardless of the last 10 minutes. But it was one of them games where we didn't take our chances, and unfortunately, when you don't take your chances, again, it's another old cliche that I'll keep bringing up this evening. But if you don't take your chances, you're going to get punished in the Premier League, and that's it. Doesn't matter who you're against. We were all over Bournemouth for all of 80 minutes, getting that one important goal, and it was going to take a bit of a scrappy goal to beat Mark Travers on this day, because obviously Mark Travers was having an absolutely fantastic game. He kept us at bay. He was making some really big saves, and it was always going to take either something special or something absolutely scrappy to get something past him. And that's exactly what happened with something scrappy with Ross Barkley's goal, which, you know, in another day maybe any keeper catches it, but it's one of them when there's so many bodies in the box. You know, you get that little bit of luck, and that's what Villa's been good at now doing lately. We've got that little bit of luck at times, but in the last 10 minutes, I agree with you. Like, our substitutions were very, you know, ragged and moving about. I felt like this was going to be a game, in my opinion, that probably could have suited Emi Buendia, you know, to keep that ball up in the high area of the pitch, because he can draw fouls. He is exactly that type of player. So I kind of felt maybe an Emi Buendia would have suited that game really well, to get the ball high up the pitch, you know, draw fouls high up as well, just to kind of keep the ball. And I felt that game would have suited him. Whereas the other subs he made, and there's nothing wrong with the subs he made, I don't think, but for that type of game that was going on, I felt the decisions were a little bit rushed in a way. But at the same time, you know, the last 10 minutes, the mindset, the psychological mindset of the lads on the pitch, you can't really point everything at Emery. You know, that they didn't see it off. Like, they should have been more experienced to, yes, if they're going to make fouls, you make it in the opposition box. You don't make it in your own. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. And that's where their last goal came from. And unfortunately, it is 2 points dropped. But at the same time, I feel like it's a point in the right direction because of the fact that the other results went our way. So it's not all doom and gloom,
No,
but it
but
is
it's
a
things
missed
to work
opportunity
on.
in its own sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Michael makes a good point. It's down to mindset and attitude. We must learn from this. Our focus must be from whistle to whistle. And Jacob said there on Saturday, he feels our subs were made to try to win the game, and then we failed to switch to a mindset where we attempted to conserve our lead instead of defend it. And I've thought this for a long time. Like, we've improved. Villa have improved on this so much, and Emery's been the main instigator of this in terms of that mindset of keeping on pushing, keeping on being consistent, not panicking when we go a goal down, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. But the next bit is to switch between these different mindsets, because you always see it with the team that tries to park the bus, and then as soon as they go 1-0 down, that they can't then switch into attack mode. It's too difficult to do that, so they'll end up just staying like that, and then they might nick something at the end. Or if a team does concede, then gets it back to 1-1 or gets it to 2-1, then they try and go back into defensive mode rather than just keeping going in the mindset and the mentality that's got you into that position. And I felt like they expended so much effort and made so many changes in terms of sub personnel to get them into that winning position, that then to bring Kamara on, put Ross Barkley into a more advanced midfielder position, which was a bit bizarre to me, just seemed like it interrupted the flow. And it's not because Boubacar Kamara is not a brilliant defensive midfielder. We know how good he is, but it's just the mindset shift, like Jacob said there, to go from attacking, consistency, making attacking substitutions, constantly pushing. Then you get the goal and you think, right, well, just carry on doing that, because that's what's got you that goal in the first place. Why then get the goal and then make loads of changes again to go back to what you were doing, go back to a more defensive position and then have to switch again, because that then changed the mindset of the opposition, because the opposition's thinking, well, we only need one goal to get back into this. We can just push here. Like, we'll catch them while they're not quite in the same rhythm. So yeah, it's just getting that mindset to me that I think is the key thing. Now, one other point on that, Si mentions, why did Barkley fly in like he did? Cash was on the cover and the attackers were going into the box were covered. He was right on that left-hand attacking side for them. I don't think he needed to slide in. So
Yeah.
was it Barkley's issue, or was it a marking issue in terms of Cash or Duran? Or was it even, dare I say it, Emi Martinez maybe not quite in the right position on the goal line?
I think it's a mixed combination of all the above. I don't think Barkley should have made that foul. It was not. He didn't need to do it, but unfortunately, he done it. And then I think I seen a quote from Areola where he said they wanted to target the front post in the set pieces against Aston Villa because he noticed something in the game against Bologna where they were putting everything into the front post and we were kind of struggling to defend against it. And they done exactly that. And obviously, from a Bournemouth perspective, they got their due awards for it because that's something that they were working on. But at the same time, the marking from Cash Duran, it was very poor against Evelyn's. And then Martinez, you're right, he wasn't exactly in a good position. He was wasn't exactly center of his goal. He was more to the right side of his post because he wasn't expecting, maybe a front post cross. But when he got that header, he was too far away and he was never reaching it. So it was kind of just hoping that it would go wide or it hit the post or something like that. So I think it was a mixed combination of all the above with this goal. So it was 2 points dropped in that combination.
Yeah, yeah. It's always the way, isn't it? A goal scored against is always going to be someone's fault. Someone's generally made a mistake. Yeah, Barkley didn't need to make that challenge, and if he did, maybe he could have pulled him back earlier on, not let him run past him. But I'd have backed Matty Cash to kind of just run him into the corner. I don't really think he needed to make that challenge.
No,
We've
there was
seen
never,
the setup of the actual set piece. Matty Cash is probably in the position that he's been told to stand, but you've got to look across your line and see, where is the danger if he drops back at a couple of yards. John Duran can't let your man run across you. Just get a block in on the man. Like, you've got to be looking 2/3 at the man and 1/3 at the ball, because it's the man that you need to stop getting in front of you. I mean, that was poor. And then, like I say, by the time that header, maybe Martinez isn't quite on his toes, but yeah, it was just a bit of a lapse in concentration. Now, you wanted to mention this about, you've titled this back to the drawing board. Now, we've given Austin McPhee a hell of a lot of praise for attacking set pieces. He seems to have gone quite basic with his attacking set pieces, essentially looking for the front post or playing a short one and then looping it towards the back post. So he's gone quite basic with the set pieces. But look, we're getting chances off them. But the defensive ones, we've now seen Emery having a real pointed conversation to him against Bologna, where his defenders, attacking players, were getting free headers to hit the post. And then, we conceded the last kick of the game goal from a set piece. The scrutiny is going to be on Austin McPhee with these set piece, particularly in defensive areas.
Yeah, I think attackingly he's got it down to an absolute T. We've scored some really good goals. We scored some clever goals too, where teams weren't really expecting what we were going to do. But defensively, I felt in the last few games with a little bit unease from set pieces now, because it kind of looks like what you said there, that players are getting free headers, they're getting chances in the box. It's something that he does need to go back to the drawing board for, because although you're great attackingly, and I know there's always this balance that you have to try and achieve, and
just quickly,
sometimes
Rachel said there he doesn't do defensive set pieces, but why would Unai Emery have a huge go at him if he wasn't responsible for them? Like, I don't
exactly, yeah. No, and Rachel makes a good point there. If he doesn't do defensive set pieces, then why is he a set piece coach? Like if you're a set piece coach,
Yeah,
that doesn't mean
it
you
might
want
be doing
on the
attacking ones,
attacking
yeah.
side of
But
things. Yeah.
I just if he was doing if he wasn't doing the defensive ones, I just would question why he was really having really, really, really having a a heated conversation with him about players not being marked on a defensive set piece. So whether he wasn't doing them initially and now he's kind of covering all of them, look, set pieces are a huge part of the game. If you get them right, attacking and defensively, then you're on the way to winning a hell of a lot of games. So yeah, he didn't. Obviously, he's not going to point the finger at him on the bench at this last minute goal. But if he is responsible for these defensive set pieces, I mean, sometimes there's not a lot you can do about it. If the delivery is really good, then there's not sometimes not a lot you can do about it. But the position wise today, the positioning wise on Saturday, there was things to be done.
Exactly.
But Lewis says he has a team of 5 set piece coaches. That's a hell of a lot of set piece coaches if we've got 5.
Why do you need that many? That's what I'm wondering.
That's a hell of a lot. But look, either way, we need to improve on these defensive set pieces. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's something that we need to go back to. Like I said, to the drawing board for. Yes, we're great attackingly, and of course you want to have his balance. And like I said, sometimes that balance never really works out. You can always be good at one or the other. It happens to all football teams, not just Aston Villa. But at the same time, though, you don't want to be at unease in Villa Park or away from Villa Park where your fans are seeing you going in set pieces and thinking, oh my God, we're going to concede or someone's going to get a free header. You don't want that. You want a good, strong, solid defense in your set pieces, a good line as well to catch players offside. So these are all things that have to be going back to the drawing board for.
Yeah. Kevin said every single team concedes set pieces. Yep, it's how you learn from them and keep them to a minimum. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And look, regardless of the last ditch goal that they got, just the fact that we did concede so many free kicks, concede so many corners, relinquish the pressure, to relinquish the initiative to the opposition, I should say. That was kind of where it was going to happen. It would have happened at some point because we were just constantly giving away territory, giving away the initiative to the opposition. They were getting really encouraged by it. They were throwing everyone forward. Their goalkeeper comes up as well, Matt. I know it's so basic, but an extra player going into the penalty box right at the last minute causes a bit of chaos. It causes a bit of who's marking who. So yeah, it was just one of them. It's just so frustrating. Now, you mentioned before about missing chances, and we definitely did miss chances. And the one man, if you could have put your mortgage on scoring, especially when it's literally right in his path to his left foot, he's got he's got the pace on the ball to be able to, and he's running up to the ball to be able to wrap his foot around it. I'm just watching it, thinking, this is in, 100%. This is wheeling away in celebration. And somehow it went the other side of the post. John Duran, how did he miss that opportunity?
Oh, don't get me wrong. And we don't advertise gambling, folks. So please don't bet your mortgages on John Duran ever trying to have a one-on-one chance again, please. But that chance was really sickening. It's in your path. It's one of them where that is a typical striker's goal. There's something to be in your path. Pace, power, into the back of the net, bottom corner, whether it's top corner or through the keeper's legs, doesn't matter. That should have been a goal, and Duran knows it. But look,
you've got to get it on target.
It's one of them things. It's the one chance out of 100 he missed. It's 99 out of 100 he get it, but it's the one time that he misses. It would have just put the game to bed and just gives us that 3 points. But unfortunately, it didn't happen, and that's football for you. Football's a game of what ifs, buts, and maybes.
Yeah. I mean, he'll be kicking himself, absolutely kicking himself, because he did seem extremely determined to score a goal, but it was a brilliant move. Ollie puts it on a plate for him. I think Sam in the group said, maybe it was a little bit behind him, but for me, it was
never behind him.
You just whip your left foot around that and into the bottom corner. Honestly, I'm seeing it now, and I can't believe that he didn't put it in. Now,
I'm just picturing it like as if it did go in, but the fact that it didn't, it just annoys me now.
Yeah. Now, we also did actually put the ball in the net in the first half, and it went to VAR. And you've got there checking possible ball out of play. Now, I still can't be conclusive that was out of play. I don't know whether it was the fact that
Yeah,
all the Bournemouth players just stopped, and obviously we played to the whistle. You taught to play to the whistle. John McGinn puts it in, but they didn't seem to, you know, to pay too much attention to that ball. Maybe it was out. Like Adamski said, it was out. Rachel said it was right. She thinks it was right to be disallowed. I'd still want to see an angle from above, because I remember it in the World Cup and stuff. The semi-automated thing they used to have it like where the
yeah,
computerize it
from the
and then
top.
put the angle from the top. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I did think it was just out, but we talk about that shadow thing that goes over the line, and that would have counted as being in. So I would have liked to have seen that angle, and I don't know whether they have the capabilities to show that angle. I'm not sure.
yeah. Well, look, I felt on the angle that was shown, I felt the ball was out. I did, and I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to be biased or anything about that. I felt it was out. But at the same time, I was kind of hoping for maybe they were going to show different angles of the way that it was out rather than just the one. And it felt then that VAR decision was very quick to make because they only had the one angle. But if I bring it to, say, the Newcastle and Arsenal game that happened last season, where inevitably in one angle it looked out, but they showed the over the top angle and the ball was in because of that little bit of the ball that was there. And I kind of felt like that with this one, where it looked like the little bit of the ball was like, just touching over the line, but they didn't have this other angle. And when you say the semi-automated thing with the shadow, when it shows people where they're offside and the line for the ball to be in play, unfortunately, the FA ruled against that because they don't think that's, you know, a
It's apparently
conclusive thing
coming
to
in,
have in the
isn't it? It's
league. But
apparently coming in.
but
Yeah,
yeah, because I don't think the device is useful or something like that. But which is silly because clearly it's working in the World Cup. It's been working in the Euros. Why can't it work in the Premier League? They're doing it in other leagues as well. So it's clearly a thing for me that they should have brought that in because of the Newcastle game that happened, that the ball was sitting over the top where they could see that it was in. So yes, but with the fact that then when you bring it to the Ollie Watkins version, they only show the angle as if I'm just looking straight ahead, and that's what they went off. So they didn't do an over the top angle of that. So that's where I feel that they should have done that. And then if the ball was still out of play by then, yes, that's fine, not a problem. But I still think it was out, judging on the angle that was shown. But it would have been nice to see different angles, whether it was in or wasn't it not in. But unfortunately,
yeah,
that didn't happen.
yeah, yeah. Kevin said, "I'm not convinced by the so-called pictures. The ball was totally out." Steve 24/7 says, "Was there clear evidence to overrule the ref though?" And yeah, thought we had the goal line or byline technology. Yeah, so did I. So do I. PJJ, it would be so easy to automate that. It took them nearly 5 minutes. So yeah, it does it does seem a bit of a frustrating one, but it would have been nice to, and that would have probably settled us down and probably opened the game up and all that kind of stuff. But we did manage to get the goal. Like you said, a bit of a scrappy one. It was always going to be like that because the
Mm.
goalkeeper was having an absolute stormer, made saves against from Onana, Pau Torres, Ollie Watkins, was coming out for crosses as well. So it was going to take a scrappy one, but nice for Ross Barkley to get a goal. Made an impact again when he comes on at half time. And he talked about him, last time he played for Villa and scored, there was no fans in the stadium at all. And it was nice for him to get a goal in front of a full stadium.
Yeah. So it's a big difference, for him now, especially. I think his last goal for Villa in Villa Park, I'm not too sure whether it was against Liverpool in the 7-2 win or it was a different game. If someone knows that, please put it up so we can kind of get to it. Obviously, because it's been a few years since he was at the club, but since he got his goal there against Bournemouth, I know it was a scrappy goal, unfortunately, but at the same time, though, it was in front of fans, so he would have got a different feeling. He would have got that sense of the atmosphere, although he's been sensing the atmosphere when we have scored goals, but to get the atmosphere of how he scored, he would have taken that with a lot of pride, and he'll try now to probably add goals to his game. So you could even argue, should he be even starting now from now on?
Well,
Because
that was going to
he's
be
been
my
putting in
next
some really
question.
good performances because
Yeah.
I know I'm not doing anything with the midfield that we have at the minute. I think Onana and Tielemans are a solid partnership, and this is the importance of having a squad. Like Ross Barkley has been performing. It's not as if he's coming on to make shift for the last 10 minutes. He's been coming on at half time and putting in a great shift. So you could even argue for the next game, obviously against Crystal Palace, which we'll obviously touch on later on, he probably will start that. But could there be a case for him to start against Tottenham? Could there be a case for him to start against Liverpool? Because he's been putting in some really good performances as of late.
Well, that was going to be my next question. It's like, he's come on at half time a few times now for Amadou Onana, and for whatever reason, there must be something that Onana's not quite getting right with what he's asked to do from Emery, because I don't know whether it's the way he's receiving the ball or whether the way he's moving with the ball. We're not necessarily seeing the Onana that we saw the first 2 or 3 games of the season, where he was striding through midfield and carrying the ball and then making late runs into the box. We're not quite seeing that Onana. He's good in flashes. He's really good in parts, but there must be something that he's not quite doing so right. So, yeah, is that now the time for Ross Barkley to maybe start, or is it now, as fitter as Boubacar Kamara gets, is that space up for grabs next to Yuri Tielemans, and is it going to be Kamara that takes it? It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it is. I think, and to be honest with you, I agree with you when you said that, we haven't seen the Onana of, the first few weeks, but I still think he's been having some really good games. Yes,
yeah. Like I say, some flashes of
he hasn't had goals to his game, unfortunately, but I still think he's having good games. But I think, and there's a comment here from Bear in the Garden that maybe the yellow cards are costing the halftime subs.
True,
For Onana.
very true.
So maybe that is a thing for Emery, that if someone's sitting on the yellow at halftime in his midfield, he probably doesn't want to risk a second yellow.
Midfielder,
which is a fair argument to make. But at the same time, is it a thing that maybe Emery is looking at the performances, never mind the yellow cards? It is a great point to make from Bear in the Garden. So maybe that is something that Emery's looking at. If one of my midfielders is sitting on a yellow, he's going to take him off, so he still has his full midfield, because he doesn't want that risk of someone being suspended for a game coming up. Maybe the likes of Spurs there, he probably wasn't going to risk Onana being suspended in that game, and probably went with that substitution, which would absolutely make sense for me, because why would you keep someone on the yellow? You've got a big game coming up against Spurs, and you run the risk of a suspension, which is not going to be the case for Emery. He would make that sub, so I would back it 100%. But at the same time, I do think he's been having good games, and if it's a case of he's just sitting on them yellows, then fair enough.
Yeah. One player who wasn't quite at his best, and it's definitely understandable. He's had a lot of minutes across that week, but Morgan Rogers, not quite there. Was it maybe a little bit of a game too far for him? And he will definitely, I'm pretty sure he won't start against Crystal Palace. He will definitely benefit from a week's rest coming up into this week.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think this game would have suited Emi Buendia. I wouldn't have said drop Rogers now, but I feel like when Rogers got substituted in the 57-minute for John Duran, that's fair enough. But I just think that maybe a rest for this game probably would have been good for him, because of the game against Bologna. Then he obviously had the game against Man United, Bayern Munich. He was been constantly playing. I think the only game he didn't play was the game against Wickham. If I have that correct, that was probably his only game, but he's rested this season. So he's been playing like a good 80 to 90 minutes. And in the game against Bournemouth, it was quite a poor game by his standards. He only got 19 touches of the ball or something like that. So he wasn't really getting a lot of the ball, hence why he was substituted after 57 minutes. And there's probably a sense of a little bit of frustration by him, but he probably wasn't on for long enough to try and make himself an impact. But these games happen, for even the best of players.
Yeah, of course.
There's going to be off days with Morgan Rogers. There's going to be off days for Ollie Watkins. There's going to be an off day for a Tielemans and Onana, and even Emiliano Martinez, who, despite him winning the Aston Trophy, he's still going to have an off day. So these things happen for players, but it's just making sure that we get on their backs for the right reason, because we know what us Villa fans are like. We can be very, strong in terms of our feelings and our passion, but we have to make sure that we're doing it for the right reasons. And if we do that, and then these players understand that, yes, you had a bad game, but it's just to make sure how can you now improve and react to your next one.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Sai says, what does an opposition player have to do against us to get a second yellow? Yeah, very, very, very interesting. Sanasi was on a yellow, kept fouling in the second half and got away with it. Now, the yellow card situation, I mean, 13 yellow cards across the game. And I wouldn't even say it was that much of a dirty game. I know Bournemouth seemed to have this tactic because they were involved in the game with 14 yellow cards, I think, in it against Chelsea. So, but I mean, Villa contributed with their fair share of yellow cards as well. But it just seems to be this referee kind of set his stall out early on in the game and just gave out two yellow cards straight away. And there was no margin for error. Then there was no kind of warning. Oh, that's your next one. You're going to go in the book. He kind of set himself his precedent and went from there. But the number of yellow cards was just unbelievable.
Yeah, and you're right. It wasn't a dirty game. The fouls were more like tactical fouls, really, where yellow would really be dished out. But I do agree with what you're saying and the fact that, the ref kind of didn't really give any warnings or any talking tos. It was more like, here's a yellow straight away, and then you're on that for the rest of the game. I don't even think he gave Sensei a talking to with all the fouls that he was doing either. So I think you're right in that case, that maybe referee was trying to have a firm stance on the game. But at the same time, he didn't lose control of the game. Now, mind you, that's fine. But at the same time, all these tactical fouls, he probably should have pulled the two captains away and said, lads, look, there's so many tactical fouls. I don't want to be giving out too many yellow cards or second yellows to players. Tell them to, keep it to a minimum, because they are going to happen. Tactical fouls are part of the game. He'll know that as well. Pull the two captains aside, keep it a bit cleaner. Doesn't matter. And then after that, you probably would have warned the next tactical foul, and someone's on yellow, they're getting it, and then you can live with that. But there was none of that. There was no sense of that. Like I said, he didn't lose control of the game. We didn't really have a great deal of how to deal with situations when it came to these sort of stuff.
Yeah, there's a few things. Rich said there, we got very lucky with the cash penalty decision. We also got very, very lucky with the Leon Bailey handball. So, maybe there's a few things we've got to be grateful to him for. Just to finish up with regards to this game, nice to see. I thought Pau Torres was very good in the game, and him and Ezri Konsa in that centre back partnership. It's just such a nice balance, I think. Konsa covering and utilizing his pace, and Torres being able to carry the ball out and play, and he was taking the ball further forward and having shots. It's just such a nice balance for that central defensive partnership. And as well as Carlos has played, in certain games I think he's great, and in certain games I think Tyrone Mings is going to be great. But Torres and Collins is just a really, really nice partnership. And to be fair, the Bournemouth partnership, their centre-backs were very good as well. They're two very good players as well.
Yeah, I think last season when we had 17 games with Konsa and Pau Torres, we won 15, drew 1, lost 1. So, it goes to show that should be our main partnership. And I do agree with the fact that there is games where I think Carlos should come in if he's playing against a number 9 that likes to sit, and so we can bully him and put Konsa to right back. Haven't got an issue with that. But when there's games where you have a centre half who might want to drop deep, or who's a little bit more maybe mobile in terms of rather just sitting there, then Konsa and Torres is the best partnership to have. So in games, I think against like an Arsenal, a Man City, or a Liverpool, I think a Carlos, Konsa, Torres, and a Digne back four is the way to go, because they'll have strikers that they'll want to try and bully. So having someone like a Carlos in there is great. But in any other game, it should be Konsa and Torres, because when we control the ball, them two dictate the tempo, how it's going to be. And of course, with Torres, how he likes to play through the lines, gets it into the midfield quickly, or even gets himself an assist every now and then. So it goes to show that, without saying, that partnership there for me, Konsa and Torres, should be the number one, apart from maybe some games where you want to change it up a little bit to try and get yourself a clean sheet.
And does that though bring into question, Gary said about Cash not getting any better, does that bring into question the Matty Cash slight issue. I really like him. He's a 100% man. I thought he did pretty well against Semenya, but is he essentially a squad right back? And now we need the first choice right back, because, like you said, there's times where Konsa playing at right back is a better option, but there's when we bring Cash in, there's still a question mark. He still gets targeted if we go for a top right back, and hopefully we can do that, or a right back that's going to develop into a top player, which Emery likes to do. That's a more encouraging sign there.
Yeah, look, I like Cash as well. I don't think he's going to get better than what he is, in my opinion. I think he was very unfortunate with his injuries that he had when Emery was forced around, that he probably didn't evolve with the squad in the way he would have liked. So I would say that we do need a right back. I think we need someone in there who's going to be a number one. And I think if you keep Matty Cash around as a number two choice, it's a great number two choice, in my opinion. And I don't think a lot of teams in the league would have somebody like Cash and a number one choice right back in that department, which would be absolutely fantastic. Then we're kind of covered in all areas. But it feels like with Cash, he doesn't really have a lot of competition. And that's no disrespect to Nadal Djokovic and the Bogart, but they're very young lads. They're learning their time to, train with the squad and then playing certain cup games to give them minutes under their belt. So it doesn't really feel like Cash has competition. But I think if you bring somebody in who's a right back and is going to be this out and out, overlapping right full back, which I think we've been lacking at the minute, because I don't think Cash quite does that, because Cash kind of gets the ball in an area and then he looks back and he's giving it straight to a centre half. He's not really going forward or touching the ball by a player that I haven't really seen him do. So I think that a right back is going to have to be on the cards in January. And if it's a case of you have to sell someone to get that, that's unfortunately what's going to have to happen. But I don't think Cash would be sold. I think Cash should be kept in terms of a rotational squad player. And whatever happens then in January was what will happen.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. James said we paid 10 to 15 million for Cash, and look how far we've come. The lad owes us nothing. Yeah. Absolutely. PJJ said yes. Rich Stephen said Cash is a borderline liability at this point. Sai said I don't think he was bad, Cashy, but he needs competition. Like you said, Martin, look how that helped bring on Dina. Kay said I hate to admit it, but I think Cash is a weak link. He's great, but is a weak link. Gary said he's just not a starter. That's all. Adamski says we need to upgrade our right back quality. It's been the main issue since we sorted our midfield and striker options. And Kevin said, now we know why Gertrude was pursued. Kashi, bless him, isn't up to the required standard. So yeah, it's a really difficult one. It is a really difficult one. So I think that's it. You've talked about we've made some great points. Had a great chat about the game, because like you said, a 1-1 draw. When you look at it after a few days, in terms of the results, you can be glass half full in terms of Bournemouth are going to take points off teams, and when you again looking at the results across the weekend, we're still in the top 4. We're on the same points as Arsenal. We've got an opportunity to get a real result on Sunday against Tottenham, and make some more distance between us and them. And then it looks like a good span of games and span of results. We didn't get beat, but also you can look at it and say, yeah, we could have been 20 points. And you look at the Ipswich game, and you look at the Man United game. So I'd take both points, but to be in this level of consistency while we're operating in the Champions League standard as well, it's really good. It's really good.
And it should be a glass half full, because now we're 11 games unbeaten in all competition. Everything we lose to Arsenal. So it definitely is not all doom and gloom. So it's a positive to look at.
100%. Before we get into just a quick little preview of the Crystal Palace Cup game, we'll hopefully be back tomorrow night as well for Fans Forum, and to preview that a little bit more as well, give you our starting lineups and all that. But we're going to talk a little bit about it as well tonight. Make sure you check out our friends at Football Prizes' new competition. It is for a signed and custom framed John McGinn Aston Villa shirt. Plus, there are instant win prizes as well for another home Villa shirt. And I think tickets to the Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace game, I believe. So there is just over a week left of the competition, and tickets are £3.95. Let me just see what the instant prizes are. 2 hospitality tickets to Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. I hope that's not the Carabao Cup game, because that's tomorrow. That's in 2 days' time. Hopefully it's the league game. But anyway, there's only 249 tickets available. So make sure you visit footballprizes.co.uk and you can be in with a chance of winning a John McGinn signed Aston Villa shirt, plus the chance to win 14 different instant win prizes. And some of the proceeds to any ticket purchase go to supporting Young at Heart, which supports families of children with heart conditions. So footballprizes.co.uk and search for the Aston Villa competition. Also, guys, we have well over 100 people in the chat. So make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help us on the road to 5K. If you haven't hit the like button already, what are you doing? Do you not like us? Do you not like the Villa Park podcast? Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe if you're new to the channel. Help us on the road to 5K. So, an opportunity to win some silverware is upon us on Wednesday night. Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. We obviously played Wickham in the game before, Martin. Quite a few changes were made. Quite a few youngsters played. The likes of Bogard, Swinkles, Caden Young featured. But this time round, we've got a few more players that are, not maybe had as many minutes. And we've also got players who are coming back to fitness, the likes of Tyra Mings, Boubacar Kamara, Emi Buendia's been in and out, featured here or there. So Ian Matson, I know he started in the Champions League, but he'll want some minutes. Joe Gauci, I know he played in the previous round, but he'll want minutes as well. So there's a potential to have a real, I'm sure some of the youngsters will play, but you talked about it the other week, like a second string Aston Villa side now is a pretty strong outfit.
Yeah. And I think in this game, because it's against a Premier League team, I think we are going to play, more experienced players. Like, I'm just going to throw out names. This might not even be the lineup, but I'm just going to throw out names. Like, in goals, you could have Joe Gauci, your right back, Nadal Djokovic. Your 2 centre backs, I think, will probably be Swinkles and Tyrone Mings. I think Swinkles had a very good game against Wickham. Left back Ian Matson. Then you've got your midfield of probably Kamara and Barkley. They're going to play next to each other. You'll probably have Emi Buendia in the 10. You probably will play Ramsey on the left. I'm not too sure about Philigine's suspension at this minute. I don't know if that carries over with the Carabao Cup.
No, he should be all right.
Yeah, so I think he'll probably play then on the right wing. And then you've got John Duran up top. And that's still a very good team to play in the Carabao Cup. And realistically, if you're thinking it probably should be Crystal Palace. But at the same time, Palace came off a good win there against Spurs. But as the old cliche, lads, it's Tottenham. Don't worry about it. So, but I do think that it's going to be a good game. I think if we win it, we're in a really good position and then put ourselves hopefully for a good draw.
Yeah. Bear in the Garden said first trophy of the quadruple. Kevin said Onana.
Calm down there, folks. Calm down. Okay? If Aaron Garden's actually Kevin, calm down.
Kev Jean said, not Kev Tyler. Kev Jean said Onana will start versus Palace, he thinks. James said Palace have a 6-pointer against Wolves at the weekend, so he doesn't think they will go strong. I don't know what team they put out in the last round, but
I think they put out a game. I was talking to a friend of mine, Nathan, who is part of the Eagle Eye Football. I actually was talking to him one of the weeks when we were on the Lewis together, coming back home from work. And he was telling me that in the last game, they played a very strong team because it looks like that their manager Glasner is trying to take this cup seriously to have a chance at a bit of silverware. So maybe I can see Crystal Palace playing a strong team. But at the same time, with that comment there saying that they have a 6-pointer against Wolves, who the bottom 3 at this minute haven't won a Premier League game, Wolves included, and Palace got the first on the weekend. So maybe Palace might not play a strong team to make sure that they have a fully fit squad against Wolves to get another 3 points on the board for them. Who knows? But at the same time, I probably am expecting a bit of a strong squad from Palace because there's 2 Premier League sides playing against each other. in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, I mean, if I look at their bench on Sunday, they had Matt Turner on the bench, Joel Ward, Nathaniel Klein, and then Jeffrey Schlupp, and then two younger players. And then they brought on Kamada and Ketia and Will Hughes. So Will Hughes came on the 22nd minute. So that must be Jefferson Lerma got injured. So you'd assume that Will Hughes will come in for him. You'd assume that Eddie Nketiah will probably start instead of Mateta. Ismail Assar came off injured as well, so I believe that might have been Kamada that came. Oh no, sorry, Nketiah came on for Sarr. He got injured, then Kamada came on right at the end. So you'd assume that those three will play, and then probably Turner, Ward, Klein, and Schlupp will play. But they do have a few injuries. Decore's injured. He's due to be back in a few days, so whether he's fit enough to play that game. So I'm sure they will make a few changes, but they certainly don't have the squad depth that Villa have got. So you could see the likes of Eza, Munoz, Chalaba, maybe even Gay playing, because rightly so, they will see this as an opportunity to win a trophy as well, or to get quite far in the competition. So yeah, I can imagine them putting out a bit more of a stronger side, but I'm still pretty confident if that is the team that he plays. I mean, does he go Robin Olsen in goal instead of Joe Gauci? That's the only thing.
I'd be going with Joe Gauci, Joe Gauci, Joe Gauci, Joe Gauci, Joe Gauci, Joe Gauci. I'm going to keep repeating it. Manifest him in goals there on Wednesday. Joe Gauci, Joe Gauci, Joe Gauci, Joe Gauci.
Yeah. Cloudy with a chance of your foes. Dare I say it? Could it be the first defeat of the season? I mean, it could well be. It could well be. But Emery has said for this round as well, he might go a bit stronger, but he has said he will give young players an opportunity. And we've seen the likes of Broggio, who looks really exciting. Caden Young be very exciting as well. Swinkles, who you said had a good game in the last round. So he's not afraid to use these players.
Yeah, there was another.
Aidan Borland. Yeah, Borland.
Yeah, he looked very good.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. But I think if we do win this game and get through to that quarter final, then you might see, depending on the next round draw, if we get another home tie, I think he would then probably take it a bit more seriously and think, right, if we get to the semi-final of this, then we've got we've got one game away from Wembley, so and silverware, a potential chance at silverware. So that's what I think. That's what I think we'll do. But I'm really excited for it, to be honest. I like it when the Wickham game, I think, was a bit of an iffy one because so early in the season, players are probably playing their first game, and they're not used to playing alongside each other. But this one, I think they've had a bit more of an opportunity to train and be a bit fitter. I'm quite excited to see how some of the younger players or some of the fringe players kind of look to potentially take their chance. And it's half term, so hopefully there'll be a decent crowd there. I think it could be a really good opportunity for some of these players.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think the team that's going to get played would be a strong team, but I think the younger lads will be on the bench, and if we're at a position where, for example, and this is no disrespect to Crystal Palace or anything like that, but if we're at a position where we're like 2 or 3 goals up, you might see a lot of changes with the young boys coming in, giving them minutes, giving them experience to play against a Premier League team, which would be in an ideal world, but football doesn't always work out that way. So I can probably see 2 senior players on the bench from the squad in the starting 11 that probably gets played out, and then the rest are going to be young lads, in my opinion, to give them minutes.
Yeah. A few sample starting lineups. So I said the 12 subs versus Bologna made a decent side alone. Olsen, Nedeljkovic, Bogard, Mings, Luca Dean, Ross Barkley, Kamara, Ramsey, Philogene, Watkins, Buendia, and plus Cash. Yeah, it's crazy. Kevin says Gauci, Nedeljkovic, Carlos, Mings, Matson, Onana, Barkley, Badace, Buendia, Ramsey, and Duran. It's a hell of a team as well. Just no penalties, please, says Gary. And another quadruple incoming from Adamski.
Okay, I'm gonna give this little message here, right? Adamski, I'm actually coming to Australia on the 27th of December. I'm going to the Gold Coast. So if I happen to see you on my little walkway and you mention a quadruple, I will throw you into the Surfers Paradise Beach with the sharks and saying, don't be mentioning any of this stuff just yet. No, I won't. I love you, and I hope we see it. And we can do it over a pint. That'd be great.
Class, mate, class. So, early predictions. Like I say, we'll try and jump on tomorrow for fans forum. There's a few questions coming in around transfers and January window and stuff. So we'll discuss those on the fans forum tomorrow, which would be great. But early prediction, Martin, and early predictions in the chat as well before we go. What are you saying, Martin, for score and scorers?
I'm just gonna get this Dempsey one up
Yeah.
so I'll be okay because I can swim and sharks and my friends. Fair play, Joe. Early predictions. I'm gonna go with 2-1 to Villa. I think with a slightly not weakened Aston Villa team, but players I want to get minutes. I think it'll be a close-ish game because I do think Palace will play strong enough. So I'm going with 2-1, and I'm gonna go with a Ramsey goal, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Tyrone Mings if he gets to start.
Nice, that'd be amazing. How good would that be?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. A bit of an emotional one. That's what I'm gonna go with.
Fantastic. 2-0 says Scotty UK. 2-1 says Gary Duran. Michael says, I hope I'm wrong, but 1-1. So if it's 1-1, who wins on penalties?
Yeah, that's what I say.
Who wins on penalties? Rachel said 2-1 Palace.
Rachel, come on. Come on, Rachel. Be a bit more positive. I know I said all this quadruple stuff. Be a bit more positive. Come
on. Bear in the Garden says score could be anything. It could be, mate. Claudia with the chance of UFO says, F it, let's be positive and say 1-0 Villa, Buendia to score. PJJ's been very positive and saying 3-0 to Villa. I'm going to say 2-0. I think we'll win 2-0.
Goal scorers.
Case is 3-1 Villa. Palace will give up in the second half. Goal scorers, I'm with you with Ramsey. I think Ramsey, because he's missed a couple of chances here and there the last few games, I think he'll get a goal. I think Onana gets a goal. I think we see Amadou get a goal. I think he gets back within the goals. Lewis is very positive. 5-0 to Villa.
Wow.
That is very positive.
Here's what Dempsey's done. Here's what Dempsey's going. We're going back to the beaches. Martin, if you go for a swim at the goalie, make sure you stay between the flags for real. There are lots of riffs along the main beaches there. Dempsey, I know it all too well. I used to live there for 4 years in Pacific Pines, about 15 minutes away from Surfers Paradise. I graduated from school there, so I know all about what flags to do with all the riptides and everything else. So don't worry, I am well experienced. So hopefully I'll be all right. Thanks for the concern, but I don't know where you live in Australia, and if I can get down to it and somehow, I will.
Top man. Dickie says, "What? I've been going big the last few games. So 1-0 Villa, Duran with the goal. So yeah, everyone's looking positive for this early prediction." Kevin says 2-2 Villa, 2-2 Villa win on pens. That would, I don't think I could take that, but yeah, be good to get through anyway. But Martin, I think we'll leave it there. We'll be back tomorrow hopefully for fans forum, and also obviously Wednesday instant reaction for the game against Palace. Hopefully us going through to the next round. We've got plenty more shows as well. Match preview for Tottenham in the away end for Tottenham as well. Hopefully with a Tottenham fan to talk all things opposition preview. So loads and loads and loads of shows to come. Make sure you smash that like button on your way out if you haven't already. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to the show already. Help us on the road to 5K. Martin, absolute legend. Thank you for jumping on. Thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.